spirits, psychics, and everything paranormal. For more information, go to www.portaltalkradio.com. Now, Portal Paranormal Talk Radio brings you your host,
and welcome to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. You are listening to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio on UPRN 105.8 New Orleans on the Paranormal Radio Network, and I'm your host, Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
Angela, you give me this new opening right at the last minute, and I screw it up.
Well, you know, we're broadcasting in all kinds of places, but UPRN 105.8 New Orleans is another way to the Paranormal Radio Network. So good to have you say that today. And so I have to tell you, Tuesday, I'm very excited about today's guest and cast members.
Well, we have actually, we were actually scheduled to have Chip Coffey on the show, and he's somewhere around. We've actually have on the line waiting to speak with us is David Miller, and he is the co-executive producer and director of Paranormal State. And so we're excited. He's going to stand in Chip's place for a few minutes and see if we can get Chip to wrap up his filming, and then we'll get him on the phone. So welcome to our show, David, and thank you for standing in for Chip.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you both for having me. I'll sorry, right off the bat, I'll make a quick correction only because I don't want to not do justice to Ben Wolf, who's the director of Paranormal State. I did that for Psychic Kids, but just a minor correction.
Well, so you both, as you know, do you work both shows, or?
I do. That's exactly it. I started off working with Paranormal State, and then from that we had interest in working with Chip, and that's kind of where Psychic Kids had come from a little bit.
Ah, okay. Well, that keeps you very busy on this, and of course everything paranormal in that aspect of it. Have you seen a lot of feedback from the shows? I know that we have seen some good, and I'm not going to mention the bad on it, but here's the thing on it though too. Chip is all over the place right now. I mean, he is a busy guy, but the fact is that he's helping these kids who are very young and probably don't really understand anything about their psychic abilities. What made you guys do a show like this?
Sure. We got a ton of feedback. And actually, to tell you just a tiny bit of backstory, I didn't have much experience with the paranormal before kind of jumping into this genre, I guess, into the paranormal world. But quickly realized once we had gone through and helped 20 families on Paranormal State, there was just that whole other side to the programming, which was helping people, and the kids element. It was just basically how can we figure out a platform for Chip to be able to work on this and for Chip to be able to help other families and kind of do it in his own way as a host and with a co-host with Dr. Lisa Miller. And that's kind of where it just grew from people just realizing there was a huge market of people that needed help. And there's a huge platform for children and parents who need help for it.
Well, certainly, Psychic Kids and Paranormal State are the two programs I find best on A&E, and I have viewed both of them. And I want to say to you that, big accolades for those behind the scenes, such as yourself, that are bringing the reality and the sensitivity and the love and caring to have psychics such as Chip go out and help them. So thank you very much for offering that to the mass audiences.
That's very sweet of you to say, and it actually means a lot because just briefly you had mentioned about some of the reviews that you do get in from what people think, and it's hard to sometimes read those, especially the more negative reviews, knowing where you're coming from, and it's not an easy job. It's my first time really working with kids, especially involved in a production, so there's all the other elements aside from the ones that you all get to see and watching the final product. But it really, the shows come from a place of wanting to help, wanting to be a support system, and a huge part of it a lot of times is the families just getting to meet other people like them, and that's such a big part of the process.
Certainly. Well, I watched Psychic Kids the other night, And I was so happy and inspired, I thought, I've got to write a press release about this show.
She did.
And so I was just, so thrilled to see this type of show going on. And, naturally, like I said, I've watched Paranormal State, and I'm a huge fan of that show, especially with Ryan Buell, who has been very instrumental, and one of the few people I have found, David, to approach even the demonic. And I'm happy to see that he's following in, the footsteps of such people as Lorraine Warren. So good for him and good for Chip.
Absolutely. It is certainly a daunting task, and everything that plays out that you all get to see again in the final product is a result of the real life events that took place. It's actually a pretty huge. It's a mind trip for those of us who had little to no experience with this world, and really we entrust the group and what they do. And Chip is incredible. I couldn't think of a better person. I've spoken to a lot of psychics. Chip is unbelievable. What a fantastic person to kind of marry put it in kids' terms. That's another thing that's difficult to do for psychic kids. How can you explain it to the children and the families and actually get it? And that is why we have Chip there.
So, David, do you believe in ghosts now?
That's a funny question. I always get that. People ask what I believe or where I'm at now. I have to tell you, I absolutely do believe that something exists. How to fully define it, I'm not sure yet. It's still gray territory for me, but having been in so many homes, worked with so many families, it's kind of undoubtable. I think I'd be silly to think that there was nothing out there, and what you get. There's just too many perfect coincidences for that to be true.
Absolutely, and we hear that from everybody. The fact of it is, even if they haven't had that one-on-one experience with it yet, shortly you will on that. One thing I want to comment about also too is that we had, we've also read comments regarding about the Psychic Kids TV show, and this is the thing. The fact is today, and I was really actually doing some deep thinking about this, and I thought, and I could hear, it's almost like the spirit behind me saying to me, you know what, being on TV, yes, that's where the part where they've been got a lot of flack about because they're doing this on TV, but you know what, how else can you reach all these other kids that are out there that watch these shows on TV, because it's not that available one-on-one or right in front of each kid in this, but they can also relate that aspect too, because I know my daughter is, she hasn't fully come into her gift. She does come from a gifted family, but the fact is she watched it and she says, you know what, it helps me relate to what these kids were going through, because I've had experiences like this.
Sure. That's actually, you hit the nail on the head there. I'll let you finish and then I'll go into that. I mean, that's absolutely it.
And that's a good thing. I mean, we can't condemn that. The fact of it is that, if they're going to get something out of it, and plus the do's and the don'ts, there's lots of ways that we have to be responsible about it. And this is teaching to the general public the fact is, look, even a kid needs to be responsible about their gifts. It's not something that you play around with. Some days you have fun with it, and other days it's a pain in the... but,
of course.
on it. So, Angela?
Well, let me ask you, on the psychic children, how do you select? How did your staff select those particular children to participate on Psychic Kids?
Sure. It is a process. It is basically a process by which we want to find the families that we feel will best represent the masses, which is kind of what you're talking about there and saying what are the advantages to having it on an open mass media platform as television. You want to find the families who you feel are going to have the most compelling stories so that when people are watching, and if your daughter's watching, she can say, I have that same fear of the dark, or I have intense headaches that I don't know how to control, or I have premonition dreams and it's been freaking me out for years and I don't know how to handle it. We wanted to find the families that could best represent the masses in that same way. And it's not an easy task, certainly, but we felt that everybody that we've found, everybody that we've worked with, over 17 families for our series, all did such a great job of being themselves, being truthful to the story, us being able to tell their stories in a truthful manner, and really just flow as a documentary team. Come in, meet with them, and let the cameras roll and see what happens, and let Chip and Lisa work their magic. I mean, they really are. They're magical people dedicating themselves to helping people. I can't think of a more rewarding and kind thing to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, I really like the fact that you have Dr. Lisa Miller, which is a leading clinical psychologist, working with not only the children, but the families of those children, those parents that are not quite sure what to do with all of this new activity the children are going through.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. There's some parents that are a bit more in tune or have more personal experience, and then there's other parents who said, this started 6 months ago. I have no idea what's going on. And you see it. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead and finish what you're saying, because my next question was about the college. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. I was going to say, you see it in the parents' eyes, and when they're telling their stories, that they're kept up hours on end at nighttime. This is a real thing. This is a real thing that's happening. And the best part, at least for us, is being able to look back, and I keep up with all the families actually personally, and know that they're in a good place now, that they're doing well. And we do. We actually have several people, not too many. It's a pretty small group that runs the whole operation, but everyone keeps in contact to make sure the families are still in a good place. And if they ever needed to call out and reach out for help, that there is somebody to call directly.
That's a bonus. That's excellent on that. I want to ask you now, did everybody that's in your crew attend the paranormal, your college? It is
Penn State.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
you mean for Paranormal State, or for?
Well, yeah, because it was based, started off as, with all of them getting, wasn't it that they got to know each other from being involved with the college there?
Yeah, the Paranormal State show, that was founded by Ryan Buell, and he started it as a college club back in 2002, and they grew from there. So there were students who had been involved and interested in the paranormal, and but separate from the Psychic Kids.
Well, what I found out about, Penn State and the Paranormal Research Society that Ryan formed was the fact that Ryan is now trying to get those other clubs started at universities. And I think it's very nice to see those that are seeking an education and learning about the paranormal. I think that, makes a wonderful combination.
Absolutely. It's a great outlet for students or people who are interested in the paranormal to be able to go someplace and be educated. I mean, there's no one proven guidebook to how to follow the paranormal or how to detect paranormal activity. There's certainly a lot of books out there and a lot of literature, but there's no one guide. So it seems to me, at least in my experience, that it's been a collaborative process of people who have done their research and their experience of getting together and sharing that.
Oh, absolutely. And there, like you said, there's 100,000 books out of there that has been written about the paranormal. I mean, and of course, this is the thing about the paranormal people. It's just that it's so unique. It has its own unique DNA on each case that comes across. There is the small guidelines that we can rely on, but the fact of it is that each one of them is completely different. And that's just, think of the people who are on Earth before they died. We're all unique. We've all been given that unique DNA. And who's to know what the heck we're going to do when we get on the other side? Obviously, they're being bored and they're just causing chaos. I guess that's what they like to do, the ghosts and stuff like that. But still, it's very unpredictable. It can be very unpredictable.
Absolutely. There's no necessary form or structure to it, and maybe that is the norm. Maybe part of it is not having one definitive structure, and that's why we can't prove it in scientific terms. But it's undeniable. People's experiences are undeniable.
That's true. That's true on it. And, to take somebody serious, too, when they're saying, mind you, that we do get people out there that says, oh, I've got a ghost, and yet they've got a mouse in the closet,
Sure.
There's cases like that, but the fact of it is that, do you think that maybe, and I have seen an increase of activity, and especially we have to log the negative activity and to see where it's actually traveling to, because once you get rid of it from one place, that doesn't mean that it goes poof in the air. it actually has that ability to go someplace else. Have you found any of the shows or any cases that have been that you can compare that might be the same entity causing trouble?
You mean that perhaps followed from place to place?
Well,
or
absolutely. Whether it was followed or that it just went to another place. Because we keep track of that. On some incidents in one city, we'll have trouble with a certain type of entity, get it to move on, and it shows up into another city or even another state, and it's been compared to being the same exact entity.
That's I haven't had as much experience with that. I know that certainly there have been through working with psychics or working with mediums or people that might be able to define the entities a little bit more and figure out whether it's human or non-human. That there have definitely been warnings called out to be careful because something's following. I haven't had too much experience with that world. I know that Ryan is very cautious about which cases to work on and which cases require more behind-the-scenes, no camera involvement. But I know you had mentioned earlier about Ryan. I'm talking only about Ryan here because those real negative entities. Fortunately, we didn't have too much of that experience with Psychic Kids. It was more kids trying to figure out their gifts and learn about what was going on. But yeah, with the Ryan and Paranormal State team, we definitely came across entities. Whether they were the same ones following, I don't know. I'm not sure. It definitely becomes a harder concept for me to grasp. But at the same time, I've seen undeniable things happen that I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. On that, that's fine. On it too. And so with Chip, they're filming, and he's filming now on location. You are on location.
Yes.
On it. And we happen to catch Chip in the middle of filming, so hopefully maybe that they'll say, "Oh, cut, break," and we can get him. We can get him available on the phone too. Also, on it, we've had tons of listeners write in very positive things about Chip, and I want him to know. I mean, he needs to know this. That it's not easy. I did some filming a couple weeks ago, and it's not easy. There's a lot of work entailed in this on it. So, mind you, the fact of it is that yes, helping his kids, but this has taken a lot of time off of and energy from him also. So,
absolutely. Aside from all the psychic energy that's drawn from Chip, just his practical, personal life, his personal travel schedule. I don't know how he does it. He is a work machine, and he'll get a call a day beforehand that we need to bring him in, and he just comes in, as you know, completely blind, not knowing what's going on, and tunes in and does his work. So if that wasn't draining enough, the waking up at 4 a.m., traveling for 5 hours, driving for 3 hours, he is a dream, an absolute dream to work with.
Well, we want to know his secret for his energy.
I think Red Bull and Coca-Cola.
Yeah, really, they're on it. They might just make a new brand for him on this Keep Chip Awake brand.
Exactly, Chip Power. He'll have a new energy drink.
So Davis, tell us about this first season of Psychic Kids. How long can we see the first season on A&E?
Sure. They filmed. We shot 6 episodes, and they're each hour-long episodes. So every Monday night for the next few weeks, they'll be airing them. They aired the first 2, and then what do we? I lose track of time. It's Friday today. Okay, so it's coming Monday.
Friday.
This Monday is the next one, the 3rd episode.
And we have a link on the website for anybody who wants to go directly to that link and show you the the episodes that are coming up or past episodes that you can tune into or catch some information on that too on it. But and so is this the first season of Psychic Kids? Is this what we want to call the first season of it?
That would be absolutely it. It was the first season of Psychic Kids that we've done, and you hope that we can do more work, and that there's obviously a network behind it, so hopefully they'll want to have us do more. But if not, I think the impact from what we've done so far has been fantastic. Has been a real improvement and at least eye-opener to this world. And I want to say thank you to you two for being so open-minded and fantastic about the subject. It's really refreshing to talk to people who really do understand and can see what the real cause and the mission is.
Well, you're welcome on that. You know, we just want to leave our radio show open for people to come in and talk about what's important. And, you know, being behind the scenes of paranormal and being a psychic medium itself is not an easy job. It isn't. And people think that we have these supernatural powers that we can blink our eyes and we can do anything. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. And
right.
so
true.
You know, that's the thing about this is that, you know, you're going to get the people who are going to ridicule you. We understand that. You can't please everybody. You just can't. But if you really step back and look at this in the whole complete view, this is not hurting people. This is not hurting kids. It's helping them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As a kid, I didn't grow up having any abilities, but my sister actually did, and never talked to anybody about it. And after I've been involved with these shows as adults now, she's opened up a bit more about having seen things. And I grew up in an open-minded, fantastic, beautiful family, but she never talked about it. She felt nervous to talk about it. And I believe that had she had an opportunity to see or to at least talk to other kids who had her ability to see, could have completely helped her.
Let's talk about Faith that was
Sure.
on the show. You know, this bright-eyed, very intelligent 8-year-old little girl who has
Yep.
a mom. To me, my focus went more on the mom, only because the fact is that when she finally realized what her daughter has, it was like a whole other world for her. I mean, she was, in a sense, afraid. I could see her mom was also, too. The fact is she was shocked that, now what do I do? What do I do with this 8-year-old daughter I have that has this gift? This doesn't just affect my daughter, it affects my whole family now.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I'm sure she was relieved Tuesday that her daughter, had all of her mental faculties together, and shocked that, oh my goodness, she truly is gifted.
Now what?
Absolutely. Everything you're saying was dead on. It was a huge revelation for Mom, especially with the Freddie Stewart information, as well as just, the big thing really was when I felt the most for her in some ways when she didn't understand or couldn't see what her daughter was seeing. All she wanted was for Faith to be okay and for Faith to be happy. And just having Chip there who could talk to her, could almost speak her language, completely turned it around. And Faith is doing great. She's doing really well now. So it's another family who benefited from the process.
Well, the one thing about Chip being a spiritual counselor as well, he also has a medical background. He's volunteered for hospice, and he's worked with a good deal of individuals. So really nice to see the way that he's handling the psychic children. And he's very matter-of-fact, very, I'm going to just tell you like it is, but the way he delivers it, it's always accepted.
Absolutely. Chip is a walking saint. He that's what he just said. He works in hospice. He helps people. He is an undying, loving human being that's there to help. And you see it come true. And you're right. He definitely puts it in a matter-of-fact way. And he talks to kids as he knows that they should be. He's just telling them this is what it is. He's not sugarcoating and he's not hiding it. He's just being frank and open and honest, and the way that it's okay to be.
And I think that he's showing how to empower oneself by example. He's a wonderful example to all people out there.
Absolutely. He puts it on the table, and that's exactly it. It's about empowerment, and it's about overcoming your fears and not succumbing to fear, and that's a big part of the takeaway for these children and families. A lot of the parents are afraid too. A lot of the parents, through their children's eyes, understand some of the fears they're going through. And to be a parent and not be able to help your child is an incredibly helpless feeling, and even in small doses of empower yourself. You're okay. You're healthy. Let's talk about this together. It's unbelievable the transformational process over just a few days, and watching these kids go from where they start to where they end up.
So I'm sure that they're counseled before that you have them on the show to let them know that, how many viewers are tuning into your show. I mean, there's got to be a good couple million. Of course, that's viewing in. Now, everybody knows about My Child and Their Gifts. Is this something that you counsel these kids before they go on the show? Look, even your friends at school might see you on the show. And the fact of it is that now they know that you're psychic. How do you handle when those kids are teasing you or start calling you names about it?
Absolutely. Speaking with the kids beforehand is a big process. Everything, for almost every step of the way, everybody is involved. I mean, there's a decent amount behind the scenes in terms of people, but they are fully aware and they understand. You say, listen, this is going to be something that your best friend is going to see on TV. They're going to know that you were here, that you were out there, that you were on this program. And that you do have these abilities. And in talking to the kids through the process, they're okay because they just met two other kids that are just like them. It's okay that other people don't understand it. It's a big life lesson in just being encouraged and feeling stronger for yourself. And it's not too long since we finished filming, but as I had mentioned before, the kids are in a much better, empowered, confident, comfortable state. We've actually had kids, this is funny, we've had kids from episodes that we've shot get in contact through friend websites and just meet up and say, hey, I was one of the kids on Psychic Kids, and just become friends. We're hearing about all these connections that are being made through the internet or through Chip, and just building friendships, building bonds.
Yeah, we have also a Virtue Auditorium, David, in which there's some of the guests in here are asking, what are the ages of the kids, and what is the youngest to the oldest that you are willing to work with on the show?
We had a huge range for the first season. We worked with kids from 8 to 19 was our oldest. So that's a pretty big range. The easiest range probably for us to work in was a 12 to 15, 11 to 15. But again, we helped and changed lives 8 to 19. So we're open-minded to anybody who needs help or who feels like they can relate or who just needs somebody to talk to and understand that it's okay. This is okay.
So, David, what is the one thing that you would like the viewers of both Psychic Kids and Paranormal State to take away with them after the shows?
That is a great question. There are two things that I've kind of said from the beginning. The first one is that this is a real process of us marrying production and logistics to a real-life investigation and real-life work. And then the second thing is that people understand and know that what we're doing is for good and is for real. So I guess my two biggest takeaways are watch it with an open mind and to take it for what it is and enjoy the entertainment part of it, because that is part of it and that is part of the production process. But at the same time, to know that it is a real process. And I know that's a little bit tougher for people to digest, and you see a lot of people who talk about music or sound effects or graphics. That's the element of the entertainment part. But do try and take in the fact that this is untainted and that we are working on it in a very real way. And these are real people with real lives and real situations, and we're there to do our best. And to know that we give it our best is how I sleep well.
So, David, do you think other television cable stations are going to try to follow your footsteps and produce the same type of shows? Have you seen that come across your desk lately?
I've had a few paranormal ideas come by. Not so much other networks or cable stations coming knocking down the doors, but certainly it's one of those fields that I feel like you can't have enough of. Everyone is fascinated by the paranormal, and I guess in modern terms, it would be the hot thing in some ways. I haven't heard of too many other things. Maybe whispers about other networks looking to develop, but nothing quite like the format which we take, which is really getting into the storylines of the people and their real inner emotion and what they're feeling, and rather than just paranormal, more of an emotional storyline.
It sure is a hot subject these days, though. I mean, it really is a hot subject. I mean, it seems that, anything, of course, that, you get these, it's not a reality show, but the fact of it is that one did one and then one did the other, and now they're finding out that this is a humongous field as far as the paranormal. There's teams in every state. There's multiple teams in every state. It's universal wide. It's not just nationwide. It's not through the UK. It's not just the United States. It is universally worldwide when it comes to ghosts and paranormal.
It actually seems like the U.S. might be one of the slower starters. I feel like, at least in my limited knowledge of what's been going on, that this has been happening for a long time in the UK, and I could be wrong on that, but it seems like the U.S. is catching up in some ways and opening their doors a little bit more, and networks who I encourage and who I'm impressed by, like A&E, who just step up and say, we're willing to open these doors and show our audience something a little bit different, is really impressive. It's really powerful to have them behind this kind of project.
Well, David, we certainly do appreciate your fine programming that you're producing and giving the viewers the reality of what truly is happening in the paranormal field. And we certainly appreciate you talking with us today and letting us know about these fantastic shows, my favorites, by the way.
Well, I absolutely appreciate that. And actually, ladies, this might be in perfect timing. I've got Chip walking out of the house as we speak, who's ready to come on over.
Oh my gosh. Well, give him a sucker or a popsicle or something to sit down and have a chat.
I'm putting him back to work now with a 2-second breather. Here he comes right now. Thank you, ladies, so much. It was really nice chatting with you.
Thank you, David.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
You never know what's going to happen when you go out on location.
Hello, Chip, and welcome to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio.
That was Angela. This is Tuesday. Hi, Chip. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, wow. We're fine. We were more worried about you. We thought, you know what, is this guy ever going to take a nap? Because at our age, we need to have naps.
Let me tell you what. I got up at 4:30 this morning, and I'm still on the go, and I'll probably be up until 2 or 3 or 4 this morning.
Wow, Chip. You do have a very hectic schedule, and David has been filling us in on what a powerhouse that you are, and he didn't quite understand how you can go from one thing to the next and still stand.
I sometimes question that myself.
Well, you have a great guide that you have been always shared with the public about your guide that you work with, and maybe this guide is, is spiritually leading you and giving you energy for this.
Well, I feel like I've got work to do, and I feel like that God and my angels and my guides have blessed me with work to do, and I'm very honored that the task at hand appears to be something that I'm given the strength to handle.
Well, we've enjoyed, Chip, watching your contributions on Paranormal State, and certainly I just saw Psychic Kids the other night. And I have to tell you, first of all, how inspired I was when I saw Psychic Kids and saw the way that you were counseling those children and working with those children. So thank you very much for all of your hard work and making a tremendous difference in the lives of those kids. And also, I have to say, Chip, that, I've watched Paranormal State and watched your various episodes, but I have to tell you how floored I was to see a particular episode in which you wrote down on a piece of paper a name of a demon that had been haunting Ryan for years. And when I saw that, I have to tell you, Chip, that it was at that instant that I knew that you were not your average psychic medium. You were something more than that. So what a tremendous work that you're offering on both shows.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The shows are companion shows with each other, but I think that they're also very different.
Oh, they are.
I think that there's more of a spooky element, if you will, to Paranormal State, because the families that we work with are having some sort of problem or threat, and the kids are more of a. Both shows are geared toward helping, but the kids are more. That's a more educational sort of an avenue that we can do, and a comforting sort of avenue that we can go with. So each show, as a standalone piece, it has its own merit, but I think together they just work so beautifully in tandem together, don't you?
Oh, I do.
I do. You know, I was telling David that my daughter had watched it, and she says, you know, Mom, I'm not on their show, but from what these kids are going through and knowing that I come from a gifted family, that and some of the things I've experienced, I've learned from these kids that I'm not alone, that they're not alone, and that what's in store for us, that we can be taught how to use this responsibly.
That is the pure joy of this show, is the fact that we worked with 17 young people all over the country and their families, but how many other people that are watching the show are also getting some sort of support and comfort? Families are watching the show together. Parents and children are watching the show together and talking about it and talking about their own personal experiences with the spiritual and the paranormal. And older people who are writing into me or giving me phone calls are saying, my God, I wish there had been something like this when I was growing up and I was abused and misunderstood and put down. People write with...
Are we losing you?
And
We're breaking up on your connection, Chip.
I'm sorry.
There you go. Move to the south. There you go.
Uh-oh. Am I better now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I apologize.
That's okay.
I just think the emotional core of this show, it touches people on a very emotional level.
I agree with you there, and it was very emotional for myself, and I do the same type of work that you do. But I have been talking about taking responsibility with young children and programming. And when I saw your show, I thought, here's the loving care these children are getting, the instruction, and the spiritual guidance. And I think it makes all the difference in the world. Chip, tell me, what feeling would best describe working with psychic children, period?
Joy.
Yeah. Oh, sweet.
So, Chip, are you bringing your children with you that you leave at home? Because
I'm
Chip's
sorry?
got a lot of dogs, and he considers those dogs his children.
Those are my children, and you don't know how much I miss them when I'm on the road. And it is such a joyful experience to be back with my own 4-footed children. I have 4 dogs and a cat, all rescues, and they are truly my children. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with many people, but they touch my heart and go even further than that and touch my soul.
Absolutely. And Chip's a big animal lover, has done his share as far as rescue animals. And, I won't go into the long story how Chip and I met, but the fact of it was another dog that Chip actually jumped out of the car on the freeway to rescue. Thank you. But, good story there on it. See, this is the thing about when you want to know Chip, There's lots of sides of Chip. Chip's just not about being a psychic medium. You're also a human being, too, who has a lot of love for a lot of things.
Well, you know what? I feel incredibly, incredibly blessed to be leading the life that I'm leading. I'm living my dream. I'm living my dream, and I feel like everything that I've done in the past has led me up to where I'm standing outside in Pennsylvania on location today. It's led me to this point in my life, and God wants me to do this work, and I'm going to wake up every morning and say, let's roll, let's do it. You lead me where you want me to go, and I'm going to go and do the best I possibly can to make a difference in this world.
And you are. I
yes,
think you are, don't
definitely
you?
making a difference.
Angela, don't you think he's making a big difference?
A tremendous difference, Chip.
I do too. And we're not alone in thinking this, though, Chip. We're not alone. And this is the thing about when I was telling David earlier when I was talking with him, I says, here it is. I know that I've read some reports that weren't so nice regarding about the fact is that you're taking the show and you're airing it on TV. And again, how else can you reach such a huge audience? Because mind you, you're only working with with a small number of kids, but that these people can tune in to see this. You're not exploiting these people. You're helping everybody with it.
I believe that it's having a far-reaching impact, and that's just the purpose. You know, I've heard the whole idea that we're exploiting the children, blah, 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 blah. You know, ask the children and their families if they feel exploited. That's the first thing. Ask them if they feel exploited, and the answer would be a resounding hell no.
Hell no.
No, and not at all, because, you know, we are aware of other programming that take children out cold turkey into a paranormal investigation. And these are not psychic children. They're not being counseled. They're just being there for the entertainment value. And once it's all over, those children are left with their experiences. And, you know, but what, you know, the difference between your show and something like that is that the responsibility is taken not only on your part, but also you have a leading clinical psychologist, Dr. Lisa Miller, as well. So we see where you're counseling and really, really making a difference in these children's lives and their families' lives.
Well, let me tell you, Dr. Lisa Miller, since you brought her name up, I'd love to talk about Lisa for just a moment. And she is absolutely a brilliant individual. She is one of the leading persons in her field. I mean, she has got a wealth of experience and background, and she's just a brilliant, brilliant woman. And I'm so blessed to be able to co-host the show with Lisa. And, you know, even the production people that work in production, the people behind the scenes are so amazing that they do what they do. I mean, everyone involved in the show, ladies, I will tell you this, every single person involved in the show has made a huge commitment that what we're here to do is help the children and the families that we work with on Psychic Kids. From the camera people to the audio people to the production staff, everyone wants to make a difference. And I don't say that, you know, to sound like a Pollyanna. It's the truth.
It is the truth, Chip, and you can see the work that is being done, and certainly with speaking to David prior to you coming on to the show, we see that he's very responsible, loving, and caring, and wants everyone to, you know, get through this with, you know, with ease. So, again, I just find that your entire team is very responsible and very caring, and you couldn't ask for a better one. You really couldn't.
You couldn't ask for them to be more receptive and more understanding and more compassionate than they have been. They have been absolutely brilliant. And David is the person who was my first contact with getting me onto Paranormal State, which in fact led to Psychic Kids. So David Miller that you talked to, how fitting and appropriate that you talked to David, who is kind of like my muse and the person that pulled me into this whole realm of television with Paranormal State and with Psychic Kids. So I have to thank David, and I will tell you, he's like my son. I love the guy, and I'd give him a kidney. It'd probably be a bad kidney, but I'd give him a kidney if he did one.
Well, he certainly thinks a lot of you, Chip.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let's talk about Tiffany. Now, I was trying to think, for some reason, Tiffany's last name has left my mind. So if you could tell us what Tiffany's last name is. But I watched her on a show, you know, and she's got this bubbly blonde, long hair. And, you know, she just reminds me of you know, here it is, this grown woman sits down and starts coloring with this little girl.
She's amazing. Tiffany Johnson.
Johnson, thank you.
Tiffany Johnson is my loving, wonderful friend, and I adore Tiffany. She is brilliant and funny, and, you know, we call ourselves, she calls me, actually, her brother from another mother, and and we, you know, we just have this incredible bond together and work so well together. She's a joy to be around, and she came in on one of the episodes and helped us with some things with one of the young people with working with energy, and she's brilliant. Yeah,
I saw her sit down. She was helping her understand what the aura was that she was the little girl was seeing on it. I can't remember it wasn't Faith, because there was another brunette, long-haired brunette girl that was doing this with, I believe it was. We'll go past the names, because the fact is that there's so many shows I've watched so far this on it. But I did enjoy Tiffany's energy on this, and I've seen her quite a bit around on it, and I think that she's great too. I think that she was just very comfortable sitting down with this little girl and teaching her really what the aura was about. And the fact of it is that we're not given a manual with this, are we, Chip? I mean, the fact is these kids, they're born with these gifts. All of a sudden, you know, all throughout their lives, not understanding it. There's no manual with it.
There is no manual. I mean, there's so many people out there that are confused and frightened and alienated, and and feeling these feelings and not knowing what to do with them. And we had an example where there was a little boy who was diagnosed as schizophrenic. My little love Cooper, who was on the original documentary we did, who was kept in a classroom totally by himself and isolated from other children because he was diagnosed as schizophrenic and put on medication. He was isolated for 2 entire years because of the lack of understanding that his school system had about this child has unique abilities that he has tapped into, but rather than that, they ostracized this child completely and had the potential of completely ruining his life.
That's so sad.
And what exactly was the turning point with that situation?
I think the turning point in the situation was his mother saying, enough, my child is not damaged. And that is the word that I've used a lot lately, is damaged. My child is not damaged goods. My child is a whole child that has unique abilities that he or she has learned to tap into.
Well, Chip, what is the most memorable experience that you've had thus far with these psychic children?
Wow, there have been so many. There have been so many memorable experiences. Each one of these children occupies a very special place in my heart. Many of them call me on a regular basis. I talk to them. I talk to their parents. We remain in contact. They want to maintain that level of attachment and connectedness to us who have worked with them. And we don't just leave them. When we finish taping, we don't just walk away and go, okay, thanks, bye. We maintain that level of contact with many of the children that we've worked with. So one special moment, gosh, there have been so many that it would be really hard to just pick one out.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that there's ongoing counseling on your part and ongoing friendship. And you do make a tremendous difference in their lives, Chip. I mean, a huge, huge difference.
Wasn't there a camp that you had gone to? Wasn't there a camp?
We did do a camp setting. We did that as our pilot episode, the
Okay.
original documentary. We took several children to a camp setting for a very special weekend. But on the series, of course, we're going to them rather than bringing them to a group setting. People have been asking if we're going to do a kind of a reunion special. We've thought about that, and that may be forthcoming, so that's kind of a wait-and-see sort of thing. But I think that would be a joyful thing to do, is bring some of the children back together to get an update on their progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even so, and knowing that the fact is maybe someday somebody will open up another camp for these kids to go to, or even something that these kids can even meet other kids with it, too. I think that there's something ahead that will be absolutely, somebody will take the time to do a website for these kids to be able to go in and chat with their own experiences and stuff, what else can you can do with this? The fact of it is, these kids have their whole life ahead of them now, Chip, and how, the fact it is you yourself being a medium, it's ups and downs and all that stuff that comes along with it. It's not an easy job to be. It really isn't. Has its heavens and its hells, doesn't it?
Well, let me tell you what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that what we're doing here in our own little way is laying the foundation or setting up the groundwork for what is yet to come, that maybe in some small way we can change the public's perception of what children with abilities who are learning to tap into their abilities are, who they are, what they're like, and that they are not damaged, that they are normal, and this is the wave of the future, and that we need to recognize it and understand it and begin the level of acceptance of it so that we can push forward. And these children are our future. These children are who we are going to be, and I think it's part of the evolutionary process of mankind. And I think that maybe we're beginning to open a few eyes to that fact. And I pray that people will understand and look at this with an open mind and not look at it as something negative, but as something that's very beautiful and positive.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better than that on it, Chip. Chip's website, by the way, is www.chipcoffee.com. And also, too, you can find the links on the portal site to the A&E TV website, which is aetv.com, and it's /psychic-kids. And you can find a lot more information regarding the show on that. And if you visit Chip's site, send him a positive note, because there's nothing better to wake up in the day to read the positive notes that we have about this. And the more positive feedback we get, maybe we can get season number 2 and number 3, number 4 going.
Well,
I believe that he's going to have many seasons ahead.
Yes, amen.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. One thing I have to say is that, yes, there have been a lot of people that have come out in support, and there have also been those people who have flamed us, so to speak. And Tuesday, I understand that you got a nasty letter from one of my my people who doesn't really care for me very much, and I apologize for that.
Well, you know what, Chip? This is the thing. When I responded to it, I said, you know what? There's some things in life that we don't agree on. Move past it, because what is so bad about that is sitting in that anger about something. It's not, anybody's not going to make or break your life in one situation. Move past it. It's time to let it go. And
Well,
that's all we can do about it.
This person and I had a problem several years ago, and I've apologized for the problem numerous times and tried to make amends on that problem. And every time I think it's resolved, this person has some sort of a psychotic episode or whatever, and all of a sudden they're back and trying to wreck my career or trying to wreck me as a human being or malign me or libel me. And you know what? I try not to respond to that. Publicly right now, I'll say if I hurt this person, I'm sorry. But, in reality, this was several years ago. Get over it.
Exactly.
Yes, that's exactly what you can do. Is just get over it. Chip, we can't please everybody. And I don't think that we're expected to.
Well, Chip, what would you say to those children and their parents that are listening tonight? What would you say for them to better manage what is happening to them right now?
I would have to say believe your child. Certainly if you feel your child has got some medical or psychological problem, have that looked into. But in reality, if you think your child is having some sort of a true spiritual or paranormal experience, don't ignore that. Try to get the appropriate help. We're still taking information from parents for children who might want to work with us. And if I can get that web address, I think the address is kids.psychic@yahoo.com. Kids.psychic@yahoo.com. If you have a child that you think may need our help, send a fairly detailed email to Christine at that email address, and we're going to look at other kids. If Knockwood, we get picked up for season 2, we're going to be looking for more kids that we can go and be of service to.
Oh, that's wonderful. Chip, we know that you're busy, and we won't keep you any longer on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to be our guest. We've been waiting a long time to have you, and we love you to death.
Well, I love you both very much, and thank you to everyone in your listening audience who has supported the show. Please keep watching Monday nights at 10 o'clock. We've got 4 more episodes, and I'm sure they're going to be shown again and again in repeats on the network. For all the people that have sent me congratulatory notes, and even the people that have watched and haven't said very kind things, we appreciate you watching. Please try to open your mind and look at this with a different perspective, and know that our intention is out there to help these children and their families. And irrespective of what anybody says about the show, that is our goal and that is our intent.
Well, we have a virtual auditorium, but everybody is in here clapping, and they're saying that we love you to death. Angela?
Well, God bless you very much, Chip, and thank you for making the difference in the lives of others.
Well, God bless you both. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. I apologize for the fact that I was actually on set until David passed the phone to me, but
we're cool.
Well, we enjoyed speaking to David as well. We've learned a lot about psychic kids, children of the paranormal. God bless you, Chip. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Take good care, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, Chip. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And we'll go to break on this. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Portal Paranormal Talk.
And welcome back to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
For some reason in the beginning of our show, I just want to be all tongue-twisted on welcome myself back today. I just don't know. Maybe it was because of that awesome interview we just finished.
Ooh, I know. Wasn't that amazing? Not only Chip's interview with us, but David's as well. So I just love Paranormal State, and I love Psychic Kids on A&E.
Well, this is the thing about watching all these different kind of ghost shows and stuff. I really don't watch them. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, guys. I really, as much as we have all these guests on for it, I really don't sit and watch them. And the only reason on it is because the fact is that I like to keep myself in an open mind. I will support them and send them good wishes and all that good stuff. So I was able to watch, actually, both programs. And I watched that a couple weeks ago only because I was up in the mountains. And that's what we were doing, is watching some TV stuff. So, not to say they don't support them, but interesting enough that, there is a lot of new shows that are coming up, and the fact is like I said, the ghost subject is a hot commodity right now. I mean, people like to be, watch something that's a little bit spooky, and, and there you go. I mean, on it, I myself, I have to say that I might be involved with doing something on not such a huge level, but you never know.
Well, Tuesday, speaking of that and all, can you tell our listeners about your most recent filming that you've done?
Well, I can't say too much about it because we're still in the middle of it, but, those of you who are our listeners out there and those who are just tuning in, is that I do live in a very active haunted house, and I've been screaming about it for years, and so finally somebody took notice about it and asked if they could come and do a special, and they are interviewing me, and they are bringing in some brand new equipment that's never been used, no one's ever had their hands on it before, and we're going to be doing some more filming in a couple weeks with this, and so we've had some great success with it. It's like I said, it's not easy doing these type of documentaries because the fact of it is there's a lot of time involved with it. It's not so much that cut, you said that wrong, because it's all natural that what we're doing. The fact is that, but there's a lot of equipment that's involved also too, and so we want to make sure that we get, when we're catching activity on film, that it's, that we can actually generally see it and document it, because like I said, there's, these films sometimes will run 30, 60, 90 minutes, and without stopping on one card, they call it cards, and you have to go back and review all this. So there's a lot to it. There really is a lot to it. It's not just filming and putting it on TV. There's editing, and there's all kinds of things that go with it. So it's a big production.
Well, I'm just very happy, Tuesday, that they chose you to interview, as well as chose to utilize that state-of-the-art equipment in your home. I can't wait to see it, by the way.
I can't either.
But, you're down to earth. You do tell it like it is. And, I'm very familiar with some of those wonderful videos and photographs that you shared with everyone about the, activity in your house, the spirits and all. So what else do you have going on film-wise?
Well, then we, and this is for a different couple of the channels. One is for Lifetime and the other one's for Showtime. And so there's a subject that I had experienced along with a lot of other people that have had experiences. And unfortunately, there's not been a big forum or a place to go talk about it. It's a little bit personal. So I can't say really any more of it.
Okay. Well, we'll just announce it when it's ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, too. My interest wasn't so much the fact is that, I wasn't looking for reimbursement for this. It's the fact of it is just to share what I've experienced in that way, because I know I'm not alone on this, Angela. I know that there's been, a lot of other people that have experienced some of the things that I have. And I made a promise to myself a very long time ago that nobody would have to go through what I did and not be able to find help someplace, because that in itself was the most devastating out of all of this, that when you have something that all of a sudden disrupts your life, whether it's supernatural or natural, the fact of it is that being able to turn to find help with it. And, sometimes it's not just about the fact is that you just want somebody to validate it for you. You just want somebody to say, I understand what you're going through, I've been there, and it's believable. It's believable. That's the whole thing about it, because it takes a lot out of yourself. It takes that fact is that, oh my God, I'm going through something that's touching me or haunting me or something that's disrupting my family's life, and the fact of it is I can't believe it myself. I don't know what to do about it. And mind you that we do have paranormal teams, lots of them throughout each state, but that in itself still, too, is that even to contact them, and sometimes you have to have a significant amount of activity go on before they even pay attention to you.
Well,
I don't mean that for every team, but there's some places that they just think, well, are you having chairs being thrown across the floor? No. Well, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I don't have a poltergeist in my house at the moment, thank you.
That's right. But, in itself, though, and I'm really grateful for the people who have been writing to us, because we have been able to help these people get the right help for them.
Absolutely.
And mind you that I'm only in California. I can help maybe the people that surround me. I don't have the funds to go jump on a plane in every state and go out and try to help. But, we're being successful on finding help for these people who are asking for it.
Well, and I think that, it's very wonderful that we have teams that have agreed to go out and investigate when listeners write in with, their accounts of activity in their houses. So, very good. Tuesday,
Yes, Angela.
can you believe that it's been a year?
Oh, you know what? This is something that we have been really trying to discuss, and we've been so busy. We have been on the air now over a little bit over a year.
I know. And think of all of the guests that we've had on the show and things that we've learned from them. Absolutely amazing. Just a few short years ago, I never would have believed that you and I would be speaking to some of these wonderful people.
Absolutely on that, Angela. And, and I have to say, not to embarrass Angela on this, but, when I first was approached from Joe Montaldo to do the show, I wasn't ready. And then, of course, he, reapproached me again. When are you going to do the show? When are you going to do the show? And I thought, you know what? I don't want to do it alone. If I can find the right person to host the show with me, then I'll consider it. And, I met you quite a few years ago, and although we didn't get to be as close as you and I are until the show, but the same fact, I always kept you right there. I knew that something about Angela Thomas I thought would work for the show, and it's worked perfectly. You've been a blessing in my life.
Well, you're a godsend to mine, Tuesday. I've enjoyed every moment of the show with you, and of course, off the show as well.
Absolutely on this, and so you're right on that. We've had some great guests, and of course we lost Peter James. Peter James died last year on July 31st, and that in itself, really, here being a psychic medium, you think that we're prepared for death, that we're prepared to see those who we love cross over, but I have to say that, that hurt. That friendship with him hurt awful lot when he died, and
I understand that, Tuesday, and the blessing is, though, that Peter James was our first guest.
He was.
And he made a significant difference in your life as well as other people's lives, and also on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California. So, I've seen a couple of his DVDs that he had produced, and certainly now the reruns of Peter James on cable. So, we miss Peter James, and thankfully we have him on film.
We do, and just an update of where he's at. His family, they have now finished the book, and it's going to probably having its cover designed at this point, so it should be out hopefully by before Christmas of next year. And they're doing a TV special called Peter James Investigations, in which they have. I can't say whether they've hired him yet, but I know that they were almost right there. Sam Elliott, which is just, if you see Sam Elliott, he's got the same gray hair as Peter does, same mustache, and gorgeous man.
So Sam Elliott is playing Peter James?
Yes.
Is that not perfect?
Perfect.
That is perfect because they are so similar in look.
So similar. So, and I love Sam Elliott. He's always been one of my favorite actors and stuff, too. So he'll be playing the part, and there's, and so that's all I can go into detail with that. The fact of it is that they're trying to launch this off the ground, and they're just take baby steps, but it is in the works for that.
Well, we'll definitely have to have Sam Elliott on the show and talk about the upcoming film.
Hey, you never know. Maybe he just would do that. That would be great. I would love to. Hopefully, I'll be able to get to meet him on the set, and get to visit the set myself. And lots of good things there. His family as well. Peter's family as well. I do speak with his brother often, and and so this is good. We all remember Peter, and we still get lots of letters about Peter, and people are still finding out that he's passed. But he's always going to be in our hearts and minds, and that's
absolutely.
So, and let's see, we've gone down. We've had Dr. Barry Taff.
I know the entity case.
Yes, the entity. Yep, absolutely. And I still keep in touch with Barry. Barry's been a long-term friend of mine also, and he's got some new projects going on himself, and he'll be appearing in Las Vegas in November, and he just actually ordered some awesome new equipment, and to aid his work in his discovering new things about ghosts. And go ahead, Angela.
Well, with the entity case and then the house at the end of the drive, one of the things that I found very interesting about our interview with Dr. Barry Taff was the fact that he had investigated the Sharon Tate murder.
He did. You know, he's done, you know, amazingly enough, this guy has, I mean, we can't even touch on the work that he's done. I mean, he has done so much. And not only that, the fact is he doesn't even, he owns a computer, but he's not even on the internet. And, you know, so
wow.
You can't email him that way if you really want to ask him questions. I mean, if you ever do have a question for Dr. Barry Taff, send it to Portal. You know, we'll be able to forward it on to him. But this is the thing. I mean, he's just such and I'm not going to call him a basic guy, but an easy guy. The fact of it is that, you know, I mean, he's a scientific, you know, a parapsychologist in himself, and he doesn't even get on the internet. So, you know, a simple man as he is, but he's doing well. Everybody there,
and you know, really contributing to the paranormal field.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about James Hatcher? You know, he's the author of Fear Not the Night.
Last time we spoke with James, the fact is that he was going on to a second on his book. So we'll have to, you know, contact him and see what he's been up to.
Mm-hmm.
But
nice
you know,
guy and nice parapsychologist too.
Yes, absolutely. You know, James is amazing. He's an amazing ghost hunter, and he really is and stuff. And we have Melinda Rodriguez, who's still hosting her drum circles. Here you have this little woman, and she really is a tiny woman, but an amazing Reiki healer. And I have to say, Angela, you know, and I've said it before, when I went to her for a couple sessions, and I'll tell you, that was the most, she didn't really touch me but twice, once on the head, once on the toes. But I'll tell you, I had never felt better in my life after I went to two of her sessions.
Oh, wow.
You know,
good testimonial.
Oh, geez. I mean,
now, she published The Shamanic Journey.
She does. She did publish that, and you know, and she still hosts her drum circles, and she's worked with some amazing drummers from all over the place, all over very well-known bands that she's worked with, and like you said, man, she pounds on those drums like you wouldn't believe.
Well, now let's talk about Trish Woods.
Trish Woods is still keeping herself very busy. She hosts events in her area, and sometimes out of her area a little bit. She does travel a little bit, but these are these psychic events that she hosts, and she's been very successful with it.
Yeah, she's an instructor as well, and she opened up a new school on the East Coast.
She did. She absolutely, and she's been very successful with that too.
Yeah, very, very nice. Dr. Jimmy Lowry. Now, he had the Haunted South.
He did, you know, and I believe that Dr. Jimmy also has a radio show that he had one for quite a while. They had to take a break. There were some things going on in the personal side of their life.
Right, APSR.
Right, and restructure. Mm-hmm. So I believe that his radio show is back up and running again. You can catch his website on our archives and check his show out because it's about paranormal also, too. And him and Heather had some big plans. I think Heather was going to do some cable TV also about the paranormal. So we'll learn to hear more about them.
Well, I got to tell you, you know, I want to know Dr. Jimmy Lowry's secret because he had Dr. Gary Swartz on the show.
Oh, he did. That's right.
And when I found that out, let me tell you, I was probably the first in line, you know, waiting on the show. But, well, how about Denise Jones?
Denise still works with her foundation, the Life Foundation. She had her son had, I believe he had a stroke. He was in the hospital. Now, I hope I'm saying this correctly, but I believe that's what it was. Anyways, and so we're sending him, you know, of course, her and her family, a lot of prayers and healing. But, you know, still Denise is very much involved with anybody who is going through some horrific type of hauntings. She's still involved with John Zaffis and some other people that she's worked with. Keeps herself busy. Of course, she's still writing. And
she has a foundation, though, that helps others, the Life Foundation.
Yes, the Life Foundation, where she's, you know, her foundation actually helps those who seem to be that the haunting is associated maybe with the place that they're at, relocate.
Mm-hmm. So that foundation helps to pay the expenses of the move.
It does.
But, you know, I've never heard of a foundation doing that.
Well, you know, the fact of it is that, you know, I mean, we all like to donate to different areas and stuff. Some donate to children's hospitals and so on and so forth, you know, but generally, really, though, she does get the donations in to help for these families. And one thing you can say about Denise, she does apply it to the people who are in need of help. It's not something that she puts in her pocket. She generally really does help a lot of people.
Well, I got to tell you, Dr. Vernon Neppy.
Dr. Vernon Neppy, you know, I love Dr. Vernon Neppy.
I do, too.
He's very intimidating as far as, you know, I go.
He's not intimidating.
He does, Angela, because here it is, this man, I mean, some of the words he used, I have to run and look it up in the dictionary.
Well, you know, he was published in the book, he is considered one of the greatest minds of the 21st century.
Oh, well, I could see how.
And, he's an author of many books, but Cry the Beloved Mind, A Voyage of Hope, is one that he wrote for the masses to read, so that, the individual as well as the families that are experiencing some mental or emotional instabilities certainly have almost like a daily guide,
Well, you keep in contact with him, and don't you aren't you belong to a group of his?
I do belong to a group. He does research psychics, and so I am now the 8th person internationally to be on the team. So I was very honored that I received the invitation for that. So he does have a precognition group, and he, time and date stamps and does the research. And hopefully, in November we'll bring Dr. Nepi on and some of those psychics that are participating, and, have them talk about and have him talk about the approach and a particular research format on predictions. So I have to tell you, I receive almost daily predictions in email from my group members, and what incredible things that not only they predict, but that come true.
Well, this is the thing about, though, Angela, about do we really want to hear all these predictions or know about them? Is it the fact of it is that would that cause, if it was a prediction that was maybe kind of, on a...
Negative?
Well, the fact of it is, if we were, if they predicted the bridge was going to fall, would that keep people from crossing that bridge?
Well, here's the thing, that, as far as the group members that belong to Nepi's research team, they don't go out and publicly say, this is my prediction. If they do, they might throw one out there. But really, this is a private group. And so, there's been a lot of positive premonitions, and there's been a lot of negative premonitions. But the one thing it is astounding. And so, again, Dr. Vernon Nepi is a great mind, and he's doing a lot of good work out there. And so, the thing is that his name comes up again and again and again.
It does.
And I'm always thrilled to say, oh, yes, I know this man.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely, he is. I tell you, one thing about this man, he is not short on intelligence. That's
no,
for sure.
He's not. He's actually a genius and a really nice man. Well, let's talk about Jeff Belanger. Now, he's got the largest site on the Internet called Ghost Village.
GhostVillage.com. Yes, he does. And, Jeff is, I've met Jeff quite a few times, and, you meet Jeff and you think that, oh, you know what, this is just he is a farm boy. He is as American as you can get with Jeff, and you would think, no way would this guy ever be involved with the paranormal. And what he's a college guy, he's a graduate from college, and an excellent writer. He's absolutely amazing on his writing. He's done a lot of books, and he's got a new book coming out. In fact, he's going to be a guest on our show again. He's going to return to be a guest. And
wonderful.
I believe that's in October that he's going to be on the show on the 24th, and he's written a children's book.
Really?
So that will be out. In fact, we are going to be giving a lot of copies of that away on the show during that week. And, the fact is he's a new dad. He's got a baby girl that she's probably about almost a little over a year old now, and so he decided to write a children's book about ghosts. And so, I know Jeff's books have been very successful, so we're looking forward to hearing more from him.
Well, I'm looking forward to having him back on the show. Well, a lot of people have written about Bob and Fran Ginsberg of the Forever Family Foundation.
Absolutely.
And I have to tell you, these two have made such an extraordinary difference in people's lives, because the Forever Family Foundation is all about helping those go through the grieving process.
Absolutely.
And they host their own radio show, and you could go to foreverfamilyfoundation.org if you are interested in listening to the show. And they've also got, it's called Signs of Life Radio, and they have doctors and mediums and, experts in certain fields that, contribute to the radio show and give information about what's going on in the afterlife and what's going on physically with an individual that is, ready to pass. So in all areas, they have a support system. And I haven't found any foundation out there Tuesday like theirs, that really all the way across the board they have the support. So I was out in Virginia Beach in May, and one of the things I heard consistently every day was about Bob and Fran Ginsburg and the Forever Family Foundation.
And
so keep up the good work for
them. They know
them.
Dr. Gary Schwartz too, don't they?
Yes, they work hand in hand with Dr. Gary Schwartz, and I have to tell the listeners, if you're hearing Tuesday chuckle and me saying that Dr. Jimmy Lowry had Dr. Gary Schwartz on, it's because I have actively pursued Dr. Gary Schwartz to be on the show, and to no avail. And so perhaps one of these days we'll be blessed to have him on the show and talk about the God experiments and all kinds of experiments and books that he has written. But what a creative man and what a genius he is.
Yes, he is on it. We'll get him one day, Angela. I have great faith with that, don't you? I have great faith with that on it.
Well, I always admire intelligent people, and it's almost as though I have a crush on those individuals, like Vernon Nebney, for example. It's hard not to have a crush on such genius minds.
Very true. That is very true.
Well, so let's talk about Anthem Pictures, Charles Adelman.
Well, I haven't heard from Chuck in a long time since Peter died, and he was a good friend of Peter's, and so I have to say I'm not real sure about what he has up and going on it, and I have to admit I didn't check his website to see what he has up and new going. But here's Chuck. The fact is that, well, Charles, I call him Chuck because I'm a friend of his, but Charles is, he's a filmmaker too, and he also does, he produces and he distributes film, and he's always going to do that. That's the love of his life, and I'm sure that he's working on some new films as we speak, and he had quite a bit of some other shows that he was going to release, so I'm sure that he's probably at this point doing just that.
Yeah, well, the reason I like him so much, besides him being a really nice guy, is the fact that he is filming things on the paranormal as well. Now, whose story was really kind of scary, but spooky was Deborah Pickman from the Sally House.
Yes, and I keep in contact with Deborah about once every couple months. The last thing I spoke with her about is that, they do still have some paranormal teams that go into this house. Again, that people have been reported being sick from being there. They had that horrible episode where her and her husband Tony and another person did return to the home to put something in the home. It was a rock, and the entity that's there picked her husband up and threw him against a door and held him there with his feet dangling.
Right, so, and it was filmed. It was on film, too.
Yeah, and so the thing is with that is that, they chose to stay away from the house because, and I had said to her, you've got your story, and this is the fact is now it needs to go into writing, and you need to just stop going to this house. In fact, everybody needs to stop going to that house. It's a horrible, haunted house. It is nothing but very, very negative entities that are there. The house needs to be torn down, and
I agree. I was going to ask you. Do you know if they're going to tear it down?
They won't. The owner of the home won't. There's nobody that lives in there, but they still allow people to go in there to investigate it, and and they have not all teams, but there's been a high majority of teams who've had something really horrible happen to them while they were there, and it comes a time where the man who owns this house needs to be responsible and tear it down.
Well, accidents do happen.
And,
I'm sure a lot of people, especially those that have been affected by the entities that live in the Sally House, you know that they are wanting that house to go to the ground. And so, for those listening, you may want to go to the website on the Sally House, or even YouTube has a show that was filmed, and Peter James, by the way, was in that film.
Right, the Heartland Ghosts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Heartland Ghosts. So anyway, good luck to Deborah Pickman. I hope that we have her back on the show because she was very interesting.
She was very interesting, and the website for that is, of course, the 3 W's, and it says .the Sally House, and that's SALLIE. And you can actually read all about the house there at her site. She keeps it maintained real well on that. So,
goodness gracious. Well, and we had Fiona Horn, the beautiful Fiona Horn. Doesn't she model? She's an actress, and she's also a self-proclaimed witch.
And a singer. She's done a couple albums, too.
I know. The woman does everything.
She does. You know, she keeps herself real busy, and she does all kinds of specials. Fiona's all over the place, and, you know, there's just not enough time in the day for her to finish what she's doing. She keeps herself busy. She, you know, whether she's singing or she's performing her rituals, which she does.
Well, I want to know when she had the time to write 11 books.
I don't know either, but the fact of it is that, you know, I mean, she's, you know, you would think that, of course, that, you know, she's from Australia, but the fact of it is that, you know, she's this gorgeous blonde, and, you know, and she's very photogenic also, too, and very likable. She's a very likable person.
Yes,
you know.
she is.
People are not threatened because of the fact she's a witch, and she is what I would call a real witch. I mean, she's not something that just says claim to be. Everything she walks, talks, and all that other good stuff supports her what her tradition is.
Right, and her last book that she published was called L.A. Witch. So you may want to go on to the portaltalkradio.com site, click on the archives, and there you will find the links to not only Fiona, but many of our past guest websites. Well, let's talk about Robert Brown.
Yeah, your good friend, Robert Brown. Our good friend, Robert Brown.
He is adorable, very loving, kind man, and he's the author of We Are Eternal, and he also produced a meditation tape called Meditations for Life. And so I had the opportunity to see him in May in Virginia Beach, and I was very pleased to be able to see him in action. And he also taught a workshop while I was there.
Yes, he did, and you said you had a wonderful time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Has spiritual retreats all over the world,
yes.
And I happened to be able to clear my calendar months and months in advance just to be able to attend.
Absolutely, and I was jealous, just so jealous.
Oh, well, we'll have to go on the next one together, Tuesday.
We will have to on it, you know. And also, too, Robert Brown was a guest of ours not too long ago, and we opened up our phone lines for the listeners to call in and ask him some questions, maybe get a little reading from Robert. And I have to say that there was over 8,000 listeners that called in, tried to call at the same time, and shut our phone lines down.
I know. Not only shut down the phone lines, but let's talk about shutting down the servers. There were so many people that wanted, you know, to log on and to you know, listen to the show, and it just, you know, everything just went awry. So it was quite amazing. We've not had those type of numbers until that day. So Robert is very well known and very well loved. So hopefully the next time we have him on, we'll be better prepared. Maybe a PBX system.
Oh, yes, or something like that. Because, well, not only that, he's well sought out as a psychic medium, because the fact is how accurate his messages are.
I know. Yeah, well, he is. He is very accurate. But, you know, he's very loving, and he's a kind man, and, you know, friendly to all. So, and I saw he and his good friend John Edward out in at Virginia Beach, and just to see them together, you could tell, you know, their camaraderie and their kindness. It was just wonderful. So what about Jack Rourke?
Well, we had Jack Rourke on last week.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, funny thing, as Jack and I were discussing, is that we had ran into each other in Santa Monica, which neither one of us lived close to Santa Monica. It took me 45 minutes to get there, and it took Jack over an hour to get there. And so neither one of us knew that we were going to be at the same place at the same time, seeing the same person. But it was very funny that I had just left talking with James von Prague, and just left on a final note about Jack, because Jack also knows James, and walked out the door, and all of a sudden I looked up, and there's Jack standing there.
Isn't that something?
And that was something on that. That's synchronicity in itself.
It certainly is synchronicity.
Absolutely.
Well, nice guy, you know, and he's a paranormal researcher, and a very good psychic medium.
Well,
and
he calls himself a mental
medium.
Well, mental medium, I guess we would call that too, and stuff. He's got him and Dr. Barry Taff, who they both know each other and work together on some things, and along with Pat Wheelock, and I think there's another gentleman that's involved with this. Anyways, they created a survey. That's right, for you to take. It's located on ghostvillage.com, and I believe, in fact, I need to put that link also by his name on the archives. that you can go in and take this survey. And what it's about actually is just documenting the cases from around the world, these ghost cases that people are experiencing, and this way that I'm assuming that the reason why they're doing the survey is to keep better track about really what's going on out there. But that's not to say that that's the real reason. They haven't really discussed the reason why that they've actually created a survey. So,
well, right. But at least they're able to document.
Absolutely.
Document things.
Yeah. And Jack can be found also, too, during the summertime. This summertime, he's going to be working with the Learning Light Foundation in Anaheim. And if you wanted to schedule a reading with him, you can do there, or go to jackrourke.com or .net. He's both. I think he's actually .net and .com, actually.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
He's got two of them there. So, lots of things for Jack on it, and it's very cute. The fact is we get our listeners who send us emails about Jack because they all think he's absolutely gorgeous.
Well, he is. Well, I haven't met Jack in person. You have.
Yeah.
But, I know that he is used to model, and he was on daytime television, things of that nature. And so he certainly is model material and easy on the eyes. So I can see, because, to be quite honest, I received a lot of emails just about that. And I said, well, you've got to listen to the show.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen to the show because the man is, just as good-looking on the inside as outside.
Yeah,
so,
he's a very spiritual man.
Yeah, he really is. Well, what about Dave Schrader of Darkness Radio?
Well, I tell you, I haven't spoken with Dave in about a month. The last thing that Dave and I were doing together, actually, my daughter was doing. My daughter has this just beautiful gift for doing videos, and she's been looked at after Disney and MGM for her work on the anime music videos that she does editing and creating.
Wow.
And so he needed some new videos that was going to best describe and to advertise his radio show.
Mm-hmm. He
is the host and owner of Darkness at the Edge of Town. It's on the internet, and I believe that he's also on WinApp. And you can catch a show anywhere, but you can find his link on the archives. But he's been busy with that. He hosts these big events at the Queen Mary and at the Waverly Sanitarium and
the Stanley House,
yes,
or the Stanley Hotel, rather.
Right,
the one where The Shining was videotaped or filmed.
Mm-hmm. So, and these events are really a lot of fun. It's a way to gather with a lot of other people to do ghost investigations together. And they have a lot of stars that attend these events. So I think the next one that he's going to be going to is the one in Florida, and that was for TAPS. TAPS had something to do with it, Parataps or something on it. Mm-hmm. So you can find his website. Go to his website and find a lot more information.
Certainly.
On it.
A guy keeps a busy schedule.
Yes, he does.
Well, we had a sweetheart of a doctor on our show, Dr. Pamela Heath, and she is the author of Suicide, What Really Happens in the Afterlife. And, her work is incredible. I mean, not only as a doctor, a physician, a parapsychologist, but she's also an artist, and she works with Lloyd Auerbach.
Yes, she does. And she's had a family tragedy this year, and she lost both her parents around the same time. So
yes.
We still are sending her healing prayers, and hopefully she'll join us soon. And we've got about 10 minutes left, Angela. We've got a lot of guests to go through here, so let's try to make this.
Well, okay. Well, Angelina Diana, which is a returning guest, and, she is a host on Signs of Life Radio. But, this lady's making her name in a big way.
Yes, she is. Absolutely she is. And she's going to be back on the show, and I'm looking at my date book here to make sure that I have her right, on the 15th of August.
Good.
We have her scheduled on it. And Dan and Sandy Mahwini is doing well. They're still busy with the Southern California Society of Paranormal Investigations. I just seen Dan the other day. In fact, he did some filming with me. So they're well. They had to do. They moved to a new location and found some black mold in their apartment, so they had to go through a bunch of stuff with that. But they're both doing well.
Goodness.
And,
well, what about Marty and Michael Perry?
They're doing great. They have actually a new show that they're doing that's live. If you can go to their site, which they're doing live readings on the internet. Yes, absolutely. And so they're doing really well. Busy. And they have lots of things going on with them. And we're hoping that we get them on the Oprah show because there's been There's something that might be going on with them on that, and the more listeners are writing about it, we'll see if we can get them on that show.
Wow, well, I don't know. I might send a little message.
Yes, you never know on that. And we have Sid and Tricia Schultz, and Sid is the founder of Pasadena Paranormal Research Society, and they're just keeping busy, too. Sid's got tons of equipment. He has some problems with his eye, and that's been healed, and he's feeling better and back to work, and they're keeping busy also, too, with a lot of the work that they do, and check them out. They're just absolutely awesome, and they actually just were included in now with the Taps family.
Ah, very nice, very nice. Well, I know Dr. Michael Edwards is always busy. He is a former Roman Catholic priest, and he, along with a very well-known physicist, came out with a DVD and book called The Orb Project. And you may have seen them on The Secret, the DVD The Secret, or What the Bleep Do We Know? And I tell you what, watching that DVD, it was absolutely amazing. Amazing to actually see a portal that was huge. That was,
right.
So I recommend anyone that likes to view orbs to definitely get their hands on the Orb Project. Ryan Buell, Paranormal State.
Absolutely. We just got done talking all about that, and again, you can find his, his information on our site. And Ryan seems to be, very successful what he's doing, and we continue to wish, him on his success.
I really admire the man's work.
And
I really, really do. I mean, not only to be in the reality TV part of it and showing what really happens, but also, again, I'm a big believer on good versus evil, and he certainly seems to have that as his motto. Joanne Gerber.
Yeah, Joanne, we love Joanne. Joanne is just this, if you don't know Joanne's name, you will, because Joanne is really moving fast along the credentials as far as being a well-known or world-known psychic. She lost a family member earlier this week, and we send her healing and prayers from all of us from here, because we really love her to death. And you and I were going to be doing a huge event with her on August the 4th.
Yes, we are.
And we will post that on the portal site where you can tune into it. But it's just an absolute huge event where we have, she opens a chat room up with this. It's through the newspaper, and I believe it's a magazine that also sponsors this. And there's, well over 1,000 people that join in on this chat. And so it's a pretty big event. So stay tuned for that. And Dan's not doing much. He's still promoting his book, The Haunted Baseball.
Dan Gordon, what a nice guy.
We had a really awesome EVP on his show.
We did. During the show, all of a sudden, here comes this really creepy voice that came through.
Oh, that was bizarre.
Yeah, it took us all off guard, and you'll have to go back to the archives page on portaltalkradio.com and listen to the interview in order to hear what shocked us all.
Oh, gosh, absolutely, on that one on it and stuff. And so quickly, because we've only got a few minutes left.
Well, Joey and Jill Korn does their dowsing.
Yes, and they're doing, actually, they have some lectures they're going to be doing. They'll be up towards San Francisco anytime soon, I believe it is. And they kind of move around a little bit doing different workshops. And so, we had a lot of positive response from their show. A lot of people were very interested in having them back. We were trying to get them back. It might be not until around November, December that we're able to book them again.
Well, we did end up with the legendary Lorraine Warren, a demonologist, and she and her husband worked and investigated the Amityville house. It was such a pleasure Tuesday to speak to Lorraine, and she is, so kind-hearted and spiritually, she is in faith with the work she does.
Right, and she signed a couple up for a couple episodes that she'll be working with Paranormal State, too, so we'll look for her on that. And, we had...
Jeffrey Wands.
Yes.
We had Jeffrey Wands on. What a nice guy.
Yes, very, he's amazing. I really, really he is. He absolutely is amazing. And we had Jackie Salvetta.
Absolutely.
Who was E.T. Healing, and that was just a very interesting interview on itself on it.
Patrick Burns.
Donna Jackson, who was our EVP specialist. And that was with also, too, that, today me and my names are not good today, but Natalie, come on, Angela, I know you know the last name. That is Natalie.
Natalie what?
What was the girl that was missing? Natalie Holloway.
Yes, Holloway.
Yeah, she did, supposedly had a EVP from her. And we'll go Barb Powell.
Yes, yes.
And her animal communications she does.
And Rick Hayes, what an inspiring guest he was.
He was inspiring. He was a funny guy. I really enjoyed his interview.
And I loved Patrick Burns because, he's got a lot of publicity out there. He's doing a lot of good works, and he's all over the place, and still maintains his humble self. So he does Ghost Hound and a lot of things, but a great paranormal researcher.
Yes, he is. He has lots of things.
Well, we just have so many guests.
Again,
PortalTalkRadio.com on the archive.
Don't forget Bonnie Vent from San Diego. She's
I know, and Scotty Roberts.
Scotty Roberts is going to be doing some work with me, actually, on it. He's going to be illustrating a story of mine that I'm submitting to Brad Steiger.
Brad Steiger. He's upcoming guest on the show.
Yes, and he's going to be doing the illustrations for that. So, on it. Gosh. We have been so blessed, and we thank everybody for sticking with us and giving us the feedback that you have and being really tuning into our show each week. We do this for you. We do this for people who need help, and I can't tell you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you all. We're blessed because of you.
Absolutely, and we've grown from a little small radio show of less than 5,000 people, and as our station manager said, on our last show, we have grown over 63,000 listeners each week that have tuned in.
Yeah, well, we're actually doing higher numbers, but, the one thing it is, I was really surprised that we went from, start up to where we are today, and I do believe it's because of our listeners. And I do believe, Tuesday, because of the quality guests and the subject matter that we do bring to the Paranormal Radio Network.
Well, I'm being told that we had over 80,000 last week, so I'm sorry about that. We'll up it to where we need to be, up to 80,000 last week. But
and over 107 countries, too.
Oh, my gosh, absolutely, 197. Is it 107 countries or 107 cities? Which one is it?
No, 107 countries.
Oh, my gosh.
So, there's a lot of cities inside the 107 countries.
Oh, absolutely, and we're on now, or we're on UpSnap, where you can go in and tune in on your cell phone, your mobile phones, and we've got the radio on UPRN, which is 105.8, New Orleans. Thanks to Joe Montado, actually, absolutely, because he promotes us. He lets us know we're important, and he works every week to bring the show to you guys. So, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, and thank you to the Paranormal Radio Network. And on a short note, we have two ways to access the show, and that is through UpSnap. So you simply text PARA, P-A-R-A, 27627 to download the show to your cell phone, or call 201-765-9737 to receive it on your car radio.
And we have 1 minute left. 1 minute left. Oh, now he tells me we can run over. Joe, I think we're okay on running over. We hurried up and put our voice into fast speed, and we got everybody taken care of. But like I said, thanks to you, Angela, and thanks to everybody on that one. We work our butts off to bring this to you. Really do. We work hard to bring you a good show. We try.
Well, God bless you, Tuesday, and God bless you all listeners for again listening to the show and sending us emails of encouragement and story ideas and sharing all of the things that you've been experiencing here of late. Well, you are listening to the show through UPRN 105.8 New Orleans through the Paranormal Radio Network.
God bless yourself and each other, and take care of each other. It's important. Give yourself a hug and everybody else that's around you. Stay tuned for next week, and we'll be back then. Bye-bye.